Good morning, YouTubers. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the Double A bringing you a new show. Today we're going to talk about recaps from last week, recaps from last week, as well as we're going to look at the opponents for this Saturday coming up. But with that said, let's get right on into it. Good morning again. The show today is going to be covering all the schools. Real quick show. We're going to start out with Tennessee first. We're going to recap the game from last week with Tennessee Vols and the East Tennessee team. Just looking at it, let's see here if I can get that stopped. But basically, we're going to just look at it. Tennessee had a very successful game last week. They were able to just do whatever they wanted with East Tennessee State University. And Tennessee was able to get a lot of playing time for a lot of the younger players sitting on the bench. I think he played possibly everybody that was on the roster. And that's what you do when you play one of those type of ball games. And of course, the score was indicative of how Tennessee's dominance was. I think they hit 70-some points. I think it's the highest scoring game in the history of Tennessee ball football at Neyland Stadium. So just looking at the statistics from last week's game, Aguilar was 23-28 for 288 yards and 2 TDs and 0 interceptions. Cade McNamara, he was 11-18 for 85 yards and 0 interceptions. And of course, that was the passing yards. Rushing yards, Tennessee's Star Thomas was 12 carries, 69 yards, 2 TDs. This is the second week in a row Star Thomas has led the Tennessee Vols in rushing. ETSU's J. Albritton had 4 carries for 30 yards. Receiving, Tennessee's Chris Brazel had 9 receptions, 125 yards, 2 TDs. Had a big game. Chris Brazel did. He's getting better and better each game. ETSU's C. Kelly had 3 receptions for 47 yards. Tennessee's total yards on offense was 734 to ETSU's 216. Turnovers, neither one of the teams had any turnovers. First down, Tennessee had 41 turnovers to ETSU's 10. And of course, the time of possession was 35 minutes and 2 seconds for Tennessee, and ETSU had 24 minutes and 58 seconds of time of possession. So it was a total dominance for the Tennessee Vols. They're going to have to play a whole lot better against Georgia. Now, a lot of people believe Georgia's been sandbagging, and they haven't been really showing what they can do. So we'll just see how that happens. I've watched Georgia on film. They running game is very strong. They passing game forced the offensive line protections is not as good as everybody thinks it is. So I believe Tennessee can get home to the quarterback. The quarterback is more of a game manager, but when he pulls the ball down, he can run with the ball. And then looking at their running game, they can run off the edge very well. And get yards. And then for us passing, that's another thing that worries me too. Our corners, our young corners. Hood is a veteran corner, but Richmond is they're gonna try Richmond right off the bat. I know the head coach is gonna go after him the whole game if he can, and he's gonna have to be up for it. And so, and then the other thing too, I noticed from watching film, they're going to throw down the seams because they don't believe our safeties are playing well now. Syracuse was able to do that. They were able to run some deep in routes straight down, right off the seam, and complete those passes. And then the other thing, right over the middle, they ran some wide outs down, and then they cut across on like a flag pattern. They was open all the time against Syracuse. So Georgia's going to try that secondary. So it's imperative that Tennessee's defense, the front seven as well as the defensive line, get to the quarterback and take him off his pedestal there. Now he's going to probably pull that ball down and run with it because he's a good runner. That's his strong point. Going to start the strong point, and so Tennessee's going to have to be ready for that. And I know Coach Banks will have him ready for it, and we just hope everything works out okay. Tennessee is at this time they're tracking several players for 2027, and I get to that in a straight up Tennessee show on recruiting. But and then also this weekend they're supposed to have a lot of visitors in, and I'll have to get see if I can figure out who they're going to have in also this weekend. But the big name is the running back out of Baylor School down in Chattanooga, Gabriel Georges, and David. I think it's David Gabriel Georges is his name. He's the big time 5-star running back that everybody is looking at, and then of course, just looking at the ESPN, top 300 there, Tennessee. This is the 2025, 2026 class. I guess they got Faison Brandon ranked as number 8, and then Tristan Keys ranked as the 10th overall player, and then you go all the way down to 35, and it's Elise Mesa, who wide receiver and safety. He's ranked number 35, and then the next player, number 52 on the ESPN 300 is Tyreek King. He's a Knoxville native wide receiver. And then the number 66 player is Joel White. He's not from Knoxville. I think he's from down in, actually he's in Murfreesboro playing right now, but I don't believe he's from Knoxville. I think he's from down there. He's from the way up school, but I think he transferred to Murfreesboro, Oakland for his senior year. So he's the number 66 player. And then and you had to come all the way down to 134. And Hezekiah Harris out of Huntsville, Alabama. He is the 131st player. And he flipped last week along with Tristan Keys. And then you had to go down to a 153 player. It's Braden Rouse. He's a linebacker out of Georgia. And just tell you a little bit about most of those players from Georgia. If they're playing 2A ball, they're real good. They 2A. I mean, you know, if they 2 stars and 3 stars, 4 stars and 5 stars are real good players. Sort of like in Texas, you can go get a 2-star, 3-star player in Texas, and he's as good as some of the 4 stars you get out of some of these other states. It's just because of the caliber of football they play. It's such high level. And then let's see here. And then the next player in the 300, I think that's maybe it for Tennessee. Nope, they get one more. Zach Groves. He's over here out of Zach is over there out of East Robertson High School. And he's going to probably grow. He's going to be sort of like Nate Robertson. He's from Greenbrier, Tennessee. Nate, when he signed with Tennessee as a 4-star a year or so ago, he was about 6'5", 260. Groves is about the same size. I think he's going to grow into a tackle. just based on the way he's built now, because he's a big dude, and so I think he's gonna go into a 2-gap or 3-gap penetrator type nose tackle or defensive tackle, and he's the 248th player in the top 300. And then we have Darian Albert. Now he is a gap penetrator. He's gonna play the nose tackle. And he's already 315. He's 6'2", 315, and he is the 258th player. And then we come on down to the 281st player. All of these people here in this top 300 are considered blue chip players. Blue chip players are players rated as 4 stars and 5 stars. And you may have some 3s in there on some of these media outlets like 24/7 and Rivals.com. Just depending on how they rate it. And then the next player is T.J. White. He's a linebacker. He's 281st. He's a 281st player. And he's a teammate of Deron Albert, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, he's a teammate of Deron Albert. They both from Jackson, Mississippi. And then that was a big-time recruiting win for Tennessee. And then we come all the way down to the 296 player, and that's Kamari Blair. He's a local kid right here in Clarksville, Tennessee. And he committed excuse me, to South Carolina, and then changed his mind and flipped back to Tennessee. So that's just a breakdown of Tennessee's top 300 with ESPN. And then of course we're gonna look at some other games here. Let's look at what Vanderbilt did. Let's see here. And of course Vanderbilt they beat up on Virginia Tech. Tried to hang with them for a little while, but they beat up on them pretty good in this game. I think scores like 44-13, something like that. But anyway, just looking at the stats, Virginia Tech's quarterback, K. Drones, 17, 29, 134 yards, 1 TD, 0 interceptions. Vandy's Diego Pavia was 12, 18, 193 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception. Rushing yards, Virginia Tech, K. Drones, he led them in rushing. That was the quarterback, 13 carries for 36 yards. Vandy, Mike M. Young, he was 8 carries, 95 yards, and 1 TD. And then the receiving yards was T. Holloway, Virginia Tech, 2 receptions, 43 yards, 0 TDs. B. Coleman, big tight end for Vanderbilt, he had 1 reception for 54 yards and a TD. Total yards, Virginia Tech, total yards, and that's I think that's backward. Virginia Tech was 248, Vanderbilt was 490. And then of course turnovers, Virginia Tech 1, Vanderbilt 2. And then first down, Virginia Tech 16, Vanderbilt had 23. And so Vanderbilt, they're going up to play. See who Vanderbilt goes down to play South Carolina. That's going to be a tough game for them. South Carolina's probably one of the better teams in the SEC right now. But Vanderbilt can go in there, and if they do what they need to do, they can win that game. But anyway, that's the story on Vanderbilt. That's the story on Vanderbilt coming up this weekend, and what they did last week. And of course, Clark Lee's doing a fabulous job with Vanderbilt Commodores. I think they have a chance to go down there and beat South Carolina. Sellers, very good quarterback. He hadn't played against really in the stiff competition yet. Vanderbilt's going to be his toughest competition he's going to face. And we just have to wait and see what's going to happen with that game. And then the next team we're going to look at is probably Tennessee State. And Tennessee State was beaten real bad. They had beat 59-3. I listened to the coach on the Ohio Valley Big South Conference show, and in his preparation to face Alabama A&M this week. The coach was saying that Coach Barlow was saying that he was going against the #1 team in the country, and his guys continued to fight the whole entire game, and you could see they continued to fight. But it was a dismal day for Tennessee State, and just looking at it, Palmer, the quarterback, he was 5 of 13 for 33 yards. He only had 33 yards passing. North Dakota State's C. Payton was 15-31 for 276 yards, 3 TDs. Rushing yards, K. Rhymes, who had those big games had that big game against North Carolina A&T. He was held to only 43 yards rushing on 12 carries, 0 TDs, and he had a fumble. And that fumble, North Dakota got that fumble and scored off of it. North Dakota's running back, B. Capanu, he had 16 carries for 51 yards, and he scored 3 times. And then, of course, receiving yards, T. Edwards had 1 reception for 16 yards. North Dakota State, M. Collins had 1 reception for 68 yards, 1 TD. And then the total yards for Tennessee State was only 131. And North Dakota had 433 yards. Turnovers, Tennessee State had 2. North Dakota State had 1. First down, Tennessee State only had 4 first downs in this whole entire game. North Dakota State had 24. Time of possession was 29-17 for Tennessee State. North Dakota had the ball 33 minutes and 37 seconds. This game was won on both sides of the ball by North Dakota State. It's probably may be the worst showing I've seen at home in the Nissan Stadium for Tennessee State. Usually they don't get beat like that at home, so they got a lot to fix and try to repair to get ready for the next ball game, which is Alabama A&M, and they're playing them in Nissan this weekend. And hopefully they'll come out and fare better against Alabama A&M. The next team we're going to look at is let's look at Austin Peay. And Austin Peay, they played Georgia pretty tough for about 3 quarters. I think I looked at the game score, and it was like 14-0 going into the 3rd quarter. And then I think Austin Peay, 14-7, I think. And then Austin Peay came out, and Georgia was able to stymie him on a lot of possessions there, and put 2 more touchdowns on the board and a field goal, I believe, and the score. The final score was 28-6. I don't think Austin Peay scored a touchdown, I don't believe. But I think they only had a couple field goals. And the guy's real good field goal kicker for Austin Peay. But anyway, Austin Peay is C. Parson, who's the Group of 5 or Power 4 transfer. He was 16-23 for 151 yards, 0 TDs, and 1 interception. Gunnar Stockton, the quarterback for Georgia, was 26-34 for 227 yards. And he didn't have any TDs or any interceptions. Rushing, C. Richardson for Austin Peay was 7 carries, 33 yards, Georgia's Nate Frazier was 14 carries for 69 yards and 2 TDs. Receiving, APSU Austin Peay's K. Maxwell had 3 receptions. Georgia's C. Young had 7 receptions for 76 yards. And then, of course, total yards, Georgia had 421 to Austin Peay's 196. And turnovers, Georgia had 1, Austin Peay had 2. First downs, Austin Peay had 10. Georgia had 26. And the time of possession, of course, Georgia had the ball for 33 minutes and 9 seconds. APSU, Austin Peay had for 26 minutes and 51 seconds. So this game here was won. It was won in the trenches, but Georgia kind of slow poked their way into this game. I think they had a delay in the game because of rain or lightning, and then they had to move the game up because of weather. It was something that went on that kind of took the fire out of the players a little bit, but the Austin Peay played pretty well, against a powerful team like Georgia. Georgia's a type of team that they play up to their competition, so they'll be ready for Tennessee this weekend. Austin Peay, like I said, Austin Peay's got a lot of good players, and they'll be ready for this next game that they have. And I think let's see, Austin Peay is Austin Peay's gonna play Morehead State, so that's Morehead State. That'll be a easier game for Austin Peay coming up, and we just see how they fare in this next game coming up. Then let's look at let's look at Memphis. Of course, Memphis played Georgia State. Georgia State stayed with Memphis for a little while this past weekend, and it was a tougher game than I think Memphis thought they was going to have to play. But Memphis was able to get the offense going, and they were able to win that game. And just looking at the stats, the quarterback for Georgia State, T. Finley, he passed the ball, had 21 or 29 pass attempts, 201 yards, no TDs. Brandon Lewis, the quarterback for Memphis, was 16 or 20 for 196 yards, 0 TDs, 0 interceptions. Rushing yards, C. Brown had 3 carries for Georgia State, 25 yards, no touchdowns. Memphis Sutton Smith, 14 carries for 74 yards and 1 TD. Receiving yards, Georgia State, T. Hurst had 7 receptions for 97 yards. Memphis's Jay Hawkins had 3 receptions for 79 yards, 0 TDs. Georgia State had a total yardage of 389 yards, whereas Memphis had 401. So the game was relatively close. Memphis pulled away, I think, in the third or fourth quarter. And then of course, turnovers, Georgia State had 1, Memphis didn't have any. First downs, Georgia State had 19 to Memphis's 21. So the game was pretty close. Georgia State had the ball 30 minutes and 7 seconds. Memphis had the ball 29 minutes and 53 seconds. So this game was relatively close. Memphis was able to pull away from them in the latter on in the third quarter, and then maintain their distance into the fourth quarter and beat them. I think the score was like 30-16 or something like that, 34-16. But they were able to beat Georgia State, which is Georgia State's a pretty good team in the Sun Belt. So, and they're gonna give some teams, in the Power 4 trouble if they play them. So, Memphis's next game is against Troy, so it'll be a little bit easier game, hopefully. But we'll just have to see what Memphis can do. I don't know if it's a home game for Memphis or it's a away game. I think it may be. I think they're on the road again. I think they're on the road for this week again in Troy. So uh, we just have to see how Memphis fares against the Troy State folks. I think they used to be Troy State. I think they just named it is Troy now, Troy University now. So we'll see how Memphis does on that, and then and of course that should be the recap on all the games and who they're playing. Now let's switch over to the NFL, and that was another dismal game for the Titans. Titans had all the chances in the world to beat Denver, and they had some. Coach Callahan had some hiccups in time management, and they also had some hiccups in play calling. So I think they play the Rams this weekend. I think that's a home game at Nissan. But anyway, they lost 20. I think it was 21-12, and they had 4 interceptions and couldn't capitalize on any of them. This was Cam Ward's first game, and just looking at the stats, Cam Ward, he was 12 of 28 for only 112 yards passing. It says here he had a TD. He did not have a TD. And he didn't have 2 interceptions either. So that's backwards. That's not correct. But he didn't have any fumbles. So he was 12 of 28 for 112 yards, no TDs. And then Bo Nix, 25 of 40, 176 yards. And he did have 2 TDs, but he also had 2 interceptions also. Tony Pollard had 18 carries for 60 yards. R.J. Harvey had 6 carries for 70 yards. Tony Pollard had that one pass, shuffle pass from Cam Ward that he was able to get 29 yards. And that was the longest pass pattern completed by Cam Ward. And of course, Denver, Sutton, had 6 receptions for 61 yards, 1 TD. Total yards for Tennessee was 133. That's not good. Denver had 317 yards. Now, it was a defensive battle. The game was a defensive battle, but Tennessee's offense should have played a lot better than what they did. They just didn't do well. We'll see what happens this weekend when they play the Rams. But Tennessee had 2 turnovers to Denver's 4. Tennessee had 7 first downs to Denver's 20. And then time possession, Tennessee had the ball for 28 minutes and 4 seconds. Denver had the ball for 31 minutes and 56 seconds. So, like I said, fans are probably on Coach Callahan. The defense played well enough. If they would have been able to pick up the offense a little, they'd have had a better chance of winning that game. But that's the story on the Titans. I mean, we hope they play better this weekend coming up. And with that said, that's going to end this show. This is a recap and a preview of the games coming up for Saturday and for Sunday. You really can't preview the pro games because you never know what team's going to show up on those games. You can kind of look at Philadelphia maybe, and Buffalo, and Baltimore, and maybe the Green Bay Packers, and say, yeah, they're going to play this way, and kind of make a determination of how the game's going to go. But as far as the Titans, you can't do that. So, anyway, with that said, that's going to end this show. This is a show. We'll come with another show. Once I can get my chat going, and I'm going to start going live probably on maybe this Friday. If I can get it going, I might go do a live show so people can ask questions and stuff and I can answer them. But I watch a lot of film. And flipping back to college, I watched a lot of film on Georgia. Georgia's sandbagging Tennessee. It's a lot of things that Tennessee's got to correct between the tackle. They got to stop the run, and it's some things I mentioned early on in this show that I know Kirby Smart is going to try with Coach Bobo as offensive coordinator. One is those seam passes straight down the middle and the flag patterns coming from the deep outside going in. They're going to try our safeties. And Tennessee defense, Coach Banks has got to have them. Those Leos they got to get home. They got to get home to Gunner Stockton. And then the other thing they have to worry about is Gunner Stockton pulling the ball down and running with it. So that means our linebackers, Carter and T-Lander, whoever's in there, Spillman or any of those guys, Jalen Harmon or whatever, they're going to have to keep their eyes open, and they're going to have to follow Gunner Stockton because he's going to pull that ball down and run with it. And then we have to stop the run. We have to stop the run and make Gunner Stockton beat us. And looking at the Vanderbilt and South Carolina game, they have to do basically the same thing. They have to stop the run and stop Sellers from pulling the ball down and running with it. So they got the back seven, the linebackers and the defensive backs back here. They have to stop the pass. If they can stop Sellers from passing the ball, he's going to pull the ball down and run. And that's what they can look forward to. Tennessee State, Alabama A&M has a quarterback that likes to run the ball, and he's a pretty good passer, but he wants to run the ball more than pass. So Tennessee State's got to almost have the same game plan that Vanderbilt has, and Tennessee really. And then looking at Memphis, I don't know that much about Troy. I have to go out and look and see what they're doing. And then of course, middle, they're Georgia State is who they're playing. Nevada. Nevada's middle. I don't know much about Nevada, so I don't know what they got to face. But they have to play out there, I believe. And then of course, Morehead State. Don't know anything about Morehead State, but I'm pretty confident that Austin Peay is going to be able to win that game. But anyway, like I said, this is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the Double A. Remember, like and subscribe, and we appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next show. God bless.